Despite being kids' movies, Disney films have a reputation for including dark elements like the death of a parent or villains hiding behind a pretty face. But the original stories many Disney movies are based on are even darker and more gruesome than what makes it into the final animated feature. We've already gone over the twisted tales behind Cinderella, The Little Mermaid, and other popular animated films, but we've got even more where that came from. Stick around until the end for a link to our other video about dark Disney stories. Here's Screenrant's Dark Disney: 10 Real Stories Behind Popular Disney Films, Part 2. Peter Pan. In addition to the 1953 Disney movie, the studio released a sequel in 2002 and spun the story off into an entire franchise surrounding Peter Pan's pixie friend Tinkerbell. But the one question Disney's Peter Pan skips over is what happens to the Lost Boys when they decide they want to grow up. Maybe Peter sends them home? According to the original novel by J.M. Barrie, that isn't the case. Instead, when they seem to be growing up, which is against the rules, Peter thins them out. It may not explicitly say Peter kills the Lost Boys when they get too old, but the phrasing is just too menacing for it to mean anything else. Seems like Neverland isn't just fun adventures and avoiding responsibilities after all. Pocahontas. Borrowing the basic story structure of star-crossed lovers from Romeo and Juliet, Disney's Pocahontas tells the story of colonist John Smith and Native American Pocahontas who fall in love despite their different beliefs and a language barrier. When Pocahontas' father captures and plans to execute John Smith, Pocahontas saves him and manages to unite the Native Americans and colonists. Of course, according to history, that's not how it actually went. When John Smith arrived in America, he was in his mid-30s, while Pocahontas was around 10 or 12, and they never had a romantic relationship. Instead, Pocahontas was kidnapped and forced to marry the Englishman John Rolfe, as well as convert to Christianity and change her name to Rebecca. She died in her 20s from unknown causes. We may like the version of this story that includes learning to paint with all the colors of the wind, but history was not so kind to Pocahontas. Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast stays close to the original text of the fairy tale about a beautiful and kind young woman who falls in love with a prince that's been transformed into a beast. But some changes were made from the original story, like the inclusion of Gaston and Belle's father being portrayed as an inventor rather than a merchant. Another big change is the exclusion of Belle's two wicked sisters. In the original story, Beast allows Belle to return home to visit her family for a specific amount of time. But when her sisters see that she's well-dressed and well-fed, they ask her to stay longer, hoping the Beast will be so angry with Belle that he'll eat her alive. The Fox and the Hound. Disney's film about a fox named Todd and a hound dog named Copper is a tale of friends who grow up to be enemies because of their natural animal instincts and the pressure of their owners. This Disney movie doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, but it is much less sad than the original novel by Daniel P. Mannix. In Disney's version, Todd saves Copper from a bear. Then when Copper's owner, a hunter, tries to kill an exhausted Todd, Copper protects his old friend and the two live happily, if separately, ever after. In Mannix's book, Copper ends up chasing Todd until the fox collapses from exhaustion and dies. Then, when the hunter moves into a nursing home a few years later, he kills Copper with a shotgun. The Jungle Book. Disney's The Jungle Book is the tale of an orphan boy raised by the friendly bear Baloo and panther Bagheera. After a series of trials in the jungle and being pursued by a man-eating tiger, Mowgli returns to civilization in a nearby human village. But in Rudyard Kipling's original books, that's not where the story ends. One short story in the second Jungle Book sees Mowgli banished from the village after he's accused of sorcery, with the villagers planning to torture his animal family. To get revenge, Mowgli enlists the animals of the jungle to destroy the village's fields and food supply. He eventually sets loose a herd of elephants that destroy all the village huts, sending the villagers fleeing. He didn't even leave the bare necessities. Mulan. The story of the Chinese heroine Mulan dates back centuries, and each version follows roughly the same storyline. When the army calls on a member of each family to serve, Mulan takes her father's place because he's too old and her younger brother is a child. Mulan fights as a warrior for 12 years and only reveals herself as a woman to her comrades after being welcomed home by her family. But one tale features a different ending. Mulan is summoned by a foreign ruler to be his concubine, and instead of going, she commits suicide. Tangled. The most famous version of this tale was written by the Brothers Grimm, which was violent enough since it featured the prince in the story going blind after falling into some thorn bushes. However, The villain in this tale, Dame Gothel, gets a fairly tame comeuppance compared to Basile's 17th century telling of the story. In this version, the girl is taken as retribution for her mother stealing parsley out of an ogress's garden. The rest of the story is similar to the one we all know, but in this telling, the girl, named Parsley for the plant her mother stole, escapes using 3 enchanted gallnuts. As Parsley and the prince are running away, she throws each gallnut in an attempt to distract the ogress, and they transform into 3 animals. Though the ogress outsmarts the first 2 beasts, the last one, a wolf, swallows her whole. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Disney's version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame isn't exactly known for being one of the studio's lighter films, since Quasimodo's mother is murdered by Frollo on the steps of a cathedral, and the Minister of Justice later sings about being damned to hellfire. But Victor Hugo's original story is notably darker. In the original novel, Esmeralda is charged with the attempted murder of Captain Phoebus and sentenced to death. Although Quasimodo is able to offer her sanctuary in the cathedral for a time, Frollo eventually hands her over to the authorities. When Frollo laughs while Esmeralda is hanged, Quasimodo pushes him off of Notre Dame, then finds Esmeralda's body and stays with her until he dies of starvation. Hercules. Disney's take on the Greek mythological figure of Hercules focuses on the demigod's transformation from zero to hero. For his love interest, Disney adapted Hercules' first wife Megara into a spunky but conflicted heroine who wouldn't say she's in love. But by the end of the film, Hercules and Meg ride off into the sunset to live happily ever after. In the original myth, though, Megara's love isn't won over by the hero. She's given to him as a gift for saving Thebes. Plus, in an even darker turn to their story, Hercules kills their children during a temporary god-induced madness, and in some versions, kills Megara as well. The Princess and the Frog. The Disney version of the classic tale of A Princess and a Frog is changed significantly from the original to be set in 1920s New Orleans. And instead of changing the prince back, a kiss turns Tiana into a frog herself. Though true love's kiss does the trick in the end, the original folktale of the Frog Prince sees a number of other methods used to turn the frog back into a prince. In the Brothers Grimm version, the princess throws the frog against a wall, while other tales see the princess chopping off the frog's head or burning its skin, both of which trigger the prince's transformation. So what do you think of our list? Did we miss any other gruesome stories that inspired your favorite Disney movies? Let us know in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. If you want to watch part 1 of this video, click on the link at the top right. Thanks!